You want me to start? Or you want me to read over the protocols?
Yes, please start.
Okay. All righty. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Transportation Alternatives 2021 workshop. Before we begin the meeting, let's go over some simple rules and guidelines. And I think almost everyone at this point is accustomed to these. This workshop is being held virtually and is being recorded. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact Lisa Juan at 954-716-8823 or at lisa.juan at kimley-horn.com so that a member of their technical support team may assist you. All attendees will remain muted throughout the duration of the workshop. If you wish to provide a comment, please use the raise hand button. Once you see your microphone unmuted, please proceed by first providing your full name, agency represented, and then your comment. Your microphone will remain unmuted until the comment has been fully addressed. In compliance with all applicable rules and regulations, no actions or motions shall be permitted. Discussions shall be limited to matters listed in the published workshop agenda. Permissible discussions include presentations, question and answers, comments related to the presentations. Any committee member deviating from these guidelines will be reminded as to the limitations in any such discussion. Please hold comments until presentations are concluded. Do I need to repeat this in Spanish? I guess not. You can go to the next slide. Okay, this is our agenda for today. Go to the next slide. Welcome again. And I'd like to start off with myself. My name is Oscar Camejo. I'm with Miami-Dade Transportation Planning Organization. And I am the project manager for this effort, the Transportation Alternatives. It's one of my many hats. And I really look forward to working with all of you. I don't know if there's anyone here else from Miami-Dade TPO. I don't see any. So let's go with FDOT.
Good morning, everyone. Xiomara Nunez. I'm the District Local Program Administrator. As Oscar said, one of very many hats I wear. And I actually want to introduce to you guys a new employee that we have, Tasha F., our local program coordinator. Tasha.
Tasha, are you muted?
Yeah, she's on mute.
Okay. Oh, there she
Hold
goes.
on.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. As Ziramara said, my name is Tasha Epps, and I am the new District 6 Local Program Coordinator, and I look forward to learning and working with everyone. Thank you for having me.
And I know that we have Alina Phillip on the call as well.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yes, I work with the contracts coordination with the Transportation Alternatives projects and any other projects that we're working with in construction. And I look forward to working with all of you. Good luck on getting your projects awarded. All right, bye-bye.
And Andre Goins is on the call as well.
Good morning, everybody. Andre Goins with the local programs office. I'm the engineer consultant and also looking forward to working with everybody.
I don't know. Yeah, I was going to just ask the same question. Is there anyone else from FDOT on the call? I guess not.
Okay, I'm gonna go read the list of participants, just the first name as I can, and then that person can unmute and tell us a little bit about yourself. Renee.
Good morning, Renee Wilson, Grants and Governmental Affairs Manager with the Town of Miami Lakes. Thank you.
Martha.
Good morning, everyone. This is Martha Barrett. I'm a grant writer with the City of Miami. Thank you for this opportunity to attend this workshop this morning.
I have a Kay Napta.
That's Selena. That's
Ah.
Selena. Yeah.
Sounds
Okay,
like an ID
all righty.
check.
Yeah, Alicia Fernandez. Okay, Nicole Tobias.
Good morning, Nicole Tobias with the Village of Pinecrest.
Sabine.
Hi, good morning. This is Sabine with the University of Miami Walk Safe and Bike Safe programs and program manager.
Thank you. Desiree.
Hi, good morning. This is Desiree. I'm a grant specialist at Miami-Dade Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces. Thank you.
Monica.
Good morning. I am Monica Haskell, and I am representing the Key West Art and Historical Society.
Okay. I think we have Sabine. Josie.
Good morning, everyone. This is Josie Garcia Arauz from the University of Miami Walk Safe and Bike Safe program. I am the grant manager.
Mark.
Good morning. This is Mark Heineke, Senior Park Planner with Miami-Dade County Parks.
Kate.
Hi, this is Kate Kyle. I'm with the City of Miami Beach. I'm the grants manager.
Okay. Carrie.
Hi, this is Kerry Vick with Monroe County. I'm a project manager with the county's engineering department, except roads and bridges. That's a different department for us.
Okay. And I have a phone number ending in 9156.
Yes, this is Jordan Salinger, project manager with Monroe County Project Management Department.
Okay. Did I already say Dorothy? Okay. Is there anyone else that I missed? The screen keeps jumping around as people join. Okay. I feel like I guess this is what teachers go through in this new Zoom environment, checking on their students, making sure they're not just sleeping. If we can go to the next slide. Okay. Well, hopefully most of you are familiar with this program, and I'm going to pretty much go over a brief overview as if you're brand new to this effort. The TA program provides funding for a variety of smaller scale transportation projects, essentially. Bike bed facilities, recreational trails, safe routes to school projects, community improvements, and projects to be developed for the fiscal year 2026-2027. Next slide. Okay. Now, the agencies submit applications which are due February 19th. Those applications are one hard copy is due to me and at my office, and one electronic copy is due to FDOT. In addition to, I get one electronic copy and also one hard copy. And as you can see there, for all these, hopefully you have this package. If not, you could always email me and I will gladly send you out the whole package. There's much more details on this. I'm not going to read every line item. FDOT conducts field reviews of the sites of the applications that are submitted. In March, CTAC, Citizens Transportation Advisory Committee, Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and the TARC, which are the three TPO Governing Board Advisory Committees, rank their projects respectively. Hopefully this will all occur in March. Presentations will be due on April 1st and also the 2nd if needed. Now, last year and prior years, they were done in person at the FDOT auditorium. Of course, we started this in January last year, COVID hit, and FDOT, what they did was they asked for presentations in PowerPoint format. to be submitted by a deadline that's provided. And it's very important because one applicant was disqualified last year for not submitting their PowerPoint presentation. So the date is right now we don't know what's going to happen between here and April. The way things are going, it seems like this may continue to be virtual. We'll let personnel know as we proceed when we send the emails out for those presentations. TPO and FDOT will rank the applications based on the evaluation criteria as delineated in the selection. Is it in here? Yes. If you could go to the next page. FDOT ranks them, and so do we. We have slightly different criteria. We each, the maximum the application can get per side is 125 points, or for a total of 250. So in other words, it's weighted 50% TPO, 50% FDOT. The award recommendations that are made, if there are 50 applications and they all qualify, it just ranked in order. There's no cutoff at this point, and that's made for TPC's approval. And that will be going for the May TPC. And then once the TPC recommendations are approved, then they'll go to the TPO governing board, which in fact will also go in May. And in May, they go in a format of, they're added to what's called a list of program priorities, which is part of the 5-year transportation improvement program. Just to give you an idea, last year's effort was, there was awarded $7.5 million were awarded last year, which is a drop off from the previous year. We don't have the figures for the next year, but I know FDOT is taking a huge hit, and this is a discretionary program where they use those type of funds. As you all know, toll revenues are way down, and gas taxes, which is one of the main revenue streams for FDOT, is also way down, because as we can see, we're all telecommuting, not using our cars much. Next screen. This is a continuation of the criteria. Next screen. And Xiomara will cover this area.
All right, so I'm gonna walk you guys through the application. I'll highlight some things to just bring to your attention. So in this first slide, what we're looking at are the first 2 pages of the application. Things to note is who you identify as your contact person on this first page is who we are going to be emailing on all things for these applications. So if we have questions on the project, that person is the person we're going to be contacting. If we're going to set up the presentations, let's say that from here to April, everything clears up and we're able to do these presentations in person, we're going to be contacting this person to schedule these dates. So make sure that the person that you indicate on here is someone that's going to be able to work through all of these questions that we might have. The other thing to note on the lab certification status, this is current information. So if you were once certified, but it's been a while and you're no longer certified, then indicate that you are not certified. If you are certified, please make sure that you're including your responsible charge and their contact information. And just bear in mind, I've seen it in the past where agencies have indicated me as the responsible charge. I'm a responsible charge for any local agency, so please make sure that's not indicated in any of the applications. On the second page of this application, which is qualifying activities, your project must fall into one of these 9 criteria. If it does not, then it is not eligible for this program. If you have questions regarding whether or not your project may fall into one of these categories, feel free to email us and we'll work with you and help you figure out whether or not it is in fact eligible. Next slide, please. So these 2 pages, we're looking at your project details, implementation, and the right-of-way. Things to point out are, scope of work. Please provide as much detail as possible. We're looking at, feasibility of these projects, constructability, or, what are these projects, feasible for programming in our 5-year work program. Public involvement, public awareness is very important, that your community knows that these projects are in your plan and that they're in favor of these projects. I've seen projects in the past be removed from the work program and deleted from the agency's program because of lack of community support. On the implementation side, let us know which phases you guys are looking to be funded under this program, and who is going to be developing, the phase. So if it's a design phase, is the agency proposing to do it in-house with with their own forces? Are you planning on having a consultant do it, or are you proposing that DOT does it on behalf of the agency? So please be clear in that section. On the following page, on the project schedule, again, please provide as much detail as possible. We're trying to see, where what your schedule looks like and how it aligns with programming. So all of the items that are indicated in the subsection, the subheading of the question, please make sure that those are indicated in your application. Permitting is important. Make sure that you identify what your anticipated permits are going to be. Obviously, sometimes these things are subject to change, but as much information as possible on the front end helps a lot on the tail end. So next slide, please. Next slide. It jumped 2 slides now. All right, thank you. So on this next pages, this is basically looking at the environmental cost of project funding. The environmental section is pretty much derived from the type 1 checklist. This is what our environmental office uses when they're doing the environmental certification for your projects. So, definitely take this and try to anticipate what, if any, of these would be impacting your project. Use when you're deriving what your costs associated with assessments might be. This is a really good way to start planning for the environmental impacts on your project, which bleeds into the next section on the following page, which is talking about your cost estimate and calling for environmental assessment in your cost estimate. One thing to note: I've received applications in the past where, let's say, an agency is only asking for construction funds and therefore only enters the cost of construction. Even if you're only asking for funds, please give us the total project, design cost, your CEI cost, permitting cost, environmental cost. We try to capture the full project cost. So if there are local funds that were associated with this is something that we would keep in our programming as well. So please make sure you're indicating all of the costs for the project. And then on project funding, which is the last section on that page, one thing to bear in mind when you're indicating a percentage for your project local fund contribution, bear in mind that this is something that stays with the project. So if you see the note on the bottom, it says that the percentage of local contribution that's indicated will be greater than or equal to, hold on, I can't see it. Greater than or equal to the local contribution to the final contract award. And there's an example. If there's a 20% local contribution indicated and the agency was awarded $1 million, and let's say your bid amount was $1 million, then the awarded amount is going to be reduced to $800,000 to keep that 20% local contribution. Now, bear in mind, this is a greater than or equal to. So if the alternatively, if the cost of the project goes up, we will not be adjusting the department's funding to increase. Next slide, please. All right, and this is the last section of the application. In this section, this is about how the project will be funded and what year it's going to be funded. Just, as much information as possible. Like, again, as I said, if you're only asking for construction money, please include where the other phases are occurring. You just say, this is locally funded design is going to occur in X year. It helps us in assessing feasibility and whatnot. And also, please make sure you're including the budget office's commitment of the local funds to the project. We need to make sure that this is the project that has funding committed. And with that said, I'll turn it back to Oscar. I think we're in a question and answer session.
Thank you, Simona. Yes, we are. So at this point, should anyone want to raise their hand and go ahead and ask a question, you're more than invited to do so. Lisa, do you see any raised hands?
Hey, this is Alina. There's a question in the chat box from Renee Wilson, and she's asking, is local contribution required for this program? And are there matching dollars required for grant eligibility?
Sure, I'll take that. Local contribution is not a requirement, but it is something that we look at when we're evaluating. So if you indicate that you are providing a local contribution, then it is something that is going to stay with the project moving forward. So while it's not required, if it is indicated, we're taking it as this is what the agency is putting forward with this project. I don't know if that answers your question, if you have a follow-up to that. Perfect. Any other questions?
Oscar, I do not see any hand raised.
No. I see one now from Monica Haskell. How much funding is available? I don't know if Simona, you want to tackle that one because I don't think no one knows the answer right now.
Sure.
I mentioned earlier that last year's award amount was 7.5 million. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Right. So at this time, we don't have allocations for what this next cycle's award amount is, or the program amount is going to be for, we're looking at fiscal year 2027. We anticipate having around 5.4 million this year. But that is, again, it's just an approximation. It's subject to change.
There is a follow-up to her question. Are Monroe and Dade in the same funding pool?
Monroe and Dade, some of the funding pools are shared and some are not.
Okay. I don't see any more in the chat box.
Oscar, we received two more. One of them from Mark. How would you like to demonstrate allocated additional funds available? Letter?
Yes, a letter from your budget office.
Another one, how much can we apply for by project?
Sure. You can apply in any application cycle for up to $1 million per project, but you can only apply for, so let's say you want to come back another year and apply for additional funds, you can only apply for a maximum of $1 million per project phase. So meaning that there's a cap on up to $1 million for design phase, up to $1 million for construction phase, up to $1 million for the CEI phase. And that's in, I believe, maybe the second page of the selection criteria.
And we have another question from Michael. Greetings, is the local match taking into consideration for the ranking?
Yes, it is. And that's part of why we are holding the agencies to that.
Simona, I think we lost you for your voice for a second. I think we may have lost Yamada, but and to follow up on one of the questions.
I can help with that if you like, while she gets
Okay,
back.
go ahead.
Yeah, local match is definitely taken into consideration. Obviously, the more funding that the agency is willing to participate in, it gives a lot of weight onto knowing that the project is going to be done, is going to be completed. If you're invested in it, it's more likely that it will get delivered. And so it is taken heavily into consideration. That, and that's part of your schedule too. We know that we're going to do this project, and you're going to put information, when your design is going to be available, when when you expect it to be complete, when your construction will start and end. Do you have a CEI on board? All these questions are helpful in understanding how deliverable your project is. So all elements are really important.
Yes. As a matter of fact, on the project evaluation criteria, it's worth up to 10 points on both FDOT side and on the TPO side.
Oscar, there's another question in the chat from Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to read it out loud?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
How would you like right-of-way, environmental and permitting requirements identified in application, more than answering the application questions?
Alina, you want to take that one?
Sure. I'm not exactly sure. So how would you like right-of-way and environmental permitting requirements identified in the application? First, identifying that you need them is important. And then if you have them, let us know the date, the information, as much detail as you can provide about that permitting. If you're going to need it, by all means, express that in the application. If you're aware that you're going to have environmentals and you know what you're going to have, go ahead and let us know. Again, the more information you provide, the better it is to analyze your project deliverability. If you have some permitting already, that's a wonderful, position to be in to be able to deliver these projects.
Hey everyone, my connection dropped off for a bit. Stayed talking to myself for a good 3 minutes. But I see that Alina was taking some of your questions. I don't know if you guys caught what I was saying about the application and the amount of pages, that there's a maximum, and the maximum amount of applications that can be submitted. All right, I
No,
see
if you can
someone
repeat
said
that.
no in the chat. All right, so I'll repeat that. So the applications themselves, there's a cap to how many can be submitted per agency. So no more than 3 applications per department within an agency. And then the application package itself has a limit to how many pages it can be. So the maximum pages that it's ever going to be is 35 pages, where the application itself, the completed package, is not to exceed 15 pages, and any attachments, exhibits, and so on that gets submitted in addition to the application cannot exceed 20 pages. Okay. I don't know if we have any other questions.
Hi, Simara, can you please state that again? So the maximum package is 35 pages. The max on the application is 15 or 20?
The max pages for the application, so the base, filling out I guess the application is 9 pages, and it can grow as you type in, so not to exceed 15 pages. And then any attachments that you include as part of your application, not to exceed 20 pages. So that would make the 35 pages total.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure. I think I saw Mark ask if nonprofits can apply. The answer is nonprofits can apply, but we need to have an agency that's going to be implementing the project, that's going to have the lab certification.
Xiomara, also on when a person asks what's the maximum allowable, I know you mentioned it was $1 million per phase per year, but I believe in our conversation yesterday that the maximum is like 3 years or $3 million, just so they know that there's nothing
So,
beyond that for that.
so,
Yeah.
so let me rephrase it. In any given year, you cannot apply for more than $1 million per project, but in total, right, and over a project's total life, I guess, if you will, as far as funding, the maximum you can apply for is $1 million per phase. So if you had a project big enough to have $1 million design, $1 million construction, and $1 million CEI, then at that point you would be getting a maximum of 3 million, up to a maximum of $3 million for the project. But those would be over different application cycles. Any other questions?
Well, I guess we're, I don't see any more questions. That doesn't mean no more questions can be asked. We're always available. All that information is available on the provided documentation, our emails, our phone numbers. We'll gladly help everyone along this process. So having said that, I think we're pretty much, we can adjourn with this meeting. And Lisa, I guess you'll be sending us the attendance sheet.
Yes.
Okay.
We had someone make a question about the presentation information. Yes, presentation information will be sent out later on. Like I said earlier on in the presentation, we're going to be reaching out to that contact person you indicate in your application. So please make sure that you're providing the person that's going to be coordinating all those efforts. And we tend to start coordinating that sometime in March. So be on the lookout for an email sometime in March about presentations.
I have a question for Oscar. This is Renee. Oscar, in the past, we've dropped off the application to you, hard copy in person, but due to COVID, are we still permitted to drop that off to you and get a type stamp, or do we have to mail them in?
You can mail them in because honestly, there's nobody there. Our office is empty. I mean, people come in and out for the production of agendas and what have you. I think I've been in 4 times in the last 9 months myself. So yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad you asked that because under normal conditions, yeah, we will get that stamped in at the reception area. So we may have to go by the postmark date, or if you physically drop it off, that's something we need to address then, because the cutoff typically is at a physical location and we don't have that anymore. I know there's
Right.
security downstairs, but it's a building with 26 floors and 100 different, not even counting, it's not all government, it's a private sector building. So that's
Right.
something I think, yeah, that's a good question because yeah, the deadline is February 19th, COB 5 p.m. But there is, we could do that is the electronic copy is also due. So that could always be transmitted electronically. So if the hard copy comes in later on, that's fine. At least we have you on record on the electronic side.
Thank you
So
for
I guess
that, Oscar.
just thinking out loud, I think I answered the question is it'll be based on the electronic copy submission. The hard copies can come in shortly after that.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I think you received one more question. If we received an award, where do we find the FDOT funded phase?
So the funded phase is going to be in our work program. It gets presented. I think presentations happened on December the 14th for the Dade County work program public hearing. You can also reach out to me and I can give you the funded phase and the FM number. And we also send out emails to all of the agencies with the FM number and the phase.
There's another question from Mark. If the project is a smart trail or state priority trail, does it get extra points?
So you can see the breakdown of how our evaluations occur on the selection criteria. There's a breakdown on how the technical evaluation is going to be based and how the county or TPO evaluation is going to be based off of. I believe that the TPO has a criteria for the SMART trail. We do not have one for any state priorities.
Yes, there's up to 15 points. It's the county's agency project criteria number 2. Intermodal transportation linkages improvements, including those that provide access to transit stations and their facilities. For applications in Miami-Dade, this includes the SMART plan, 0 to 15 points. But that's really part of the criteria. That there's no really extra points. Like there's no bonus or extra points above the 125 total.
There is another question, or Oscar, can you please send out an email regarding the submission deadline stating what you just discussed, electronic deadline, and how to get you the hard copy? Thank you.
Yes, that's all delineated in the selection and prioritization criteria. It has all the activity scheduled date, the major deadlines, and it has the application submittal instructions. It's on the first page of page 6 of the selection prioritization criteria. But I could send one out to, when I get the list of participants, I can gladly send out the whole package again to everyone to make sure, because I know that everyone on this workshop and not necessarily was a direct recipient of the original email. It's probably trickled down to them. So once we get the attendee list, we'll send out the whole package over again. That's not a problem. And all the instructions are there.
Oscar, I think that they were referring to, because you said that you're not gonna, you're still gonna receive it in person, but you're also gonna receive it email, and they just want to make sure, because it's not stated in the application like that. So if you could just send them a follow-up, once you start receiving applications, make sure that they know that they, you have to make sure they know that they can you are receiving an email too.
Okay, yeah. Then I'll just resend
one
the
application to Oscar. Oh, they are.
I'll resend the,
Oh, I see. It says you are receiving an electronic as well, right? No. It says send one application to Oscar and one to Xiomara. Oh, no. It says it. It's electronically. You're right.
Alina, he says that he's receiving it both electronic and
Right. I see
person.
that. I see that.
Yeah. The item I think that the individual was referring to was more so the COVID and the fact that the submission in person might be delayed due to it having to be mailed out rather than delivered in person. So I think they just want to have an email that states that you're going to go off of the electronic submission and that the hard copy can arrive after the deadline.
Right, that they're not going to be like late, or they won't be.
Correct.
Right.
There's another question. If agencies submit more than one application, do they need to rank them?
No, they don't need to be ranked.
There's another question. I don't see any points in the criteria selection for renovation or historic transportation facility. Would it likely score low?
Every evaluation is based on the information provided in the application. I can't say right now without looking at the application where it would rank.
Okay, I think last call. Last call for this workshop. You're more than welcome to submit anything after the fact, after today's meeting. Xiomara or Alina, anything else you guys want to add, or I guess we are done here.
I'm good. I have nothing else to add. Thank you all for participating.
There was one thing I did want to bring to everyone's attention. It's on the application. I just want to call it to everyone's attention. And it's in page 3 of the application, section E, project implementation, under question number 1. And where, it's where we're asking you what project phases you're applying for. I just want to make sure that you all see the note that's below that section. Local agencies are not eligible to be certified in the PD&E and or right-of-way phase. Therefore, funds cannot be requested to self-administer the PD&E and or right-of-way phases.
There is another question. If the presentations are sent ahead of time, do they need a recorded narrative with it?
So on the presentations, like Oscar said, there's a lot of, just uncertainty with COVID and how the presentations are going to be held. We're going to at least have it be held virtually. So we're not going to be, last year we had to segue and have you all send the presentations so that we can just, watch it ourselves and ask questions. We don't intend to go that route. We intend to either have them in person or have them hosted virtually. So presentations, wait until we send the email about the presentations. And, we don't need it to have the recorded narrative because you will be presenting your presentations during scheduled allotted time.
And Xiomara, is it safe to assume that they definitely will need to provide a PowerPoint presentation?
They will need to provide a presentation, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And we will be asking for the presentations to be submitted ahead of time. We need to have them all on, on our side, on our systems before the presentation dates. And that was all I had. So if no one has anything else, any other questions, thank you all for joining today and your continued interest in the Transportation Alternatives Program. And it's very nice seeing you all today, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone, and thank you.
All right. I guess this meeting is now adjourned. I guess, Lisa, you could discontinue recording and we are done. Thank you, Lisa.